And doorbells are a little different. They're what they call low voltage, and it's a weird. And it's sad. I actually like this lab in class. You actually have a setup where you go through and there's a little low voltage transformer. They typically look like this. They're pretty cheap, and they're usually set up to be mounted in an inaccessible area. A lot of times inside of like closets, whatnot, and weird spots in crawl spaces up in the attic and that kind of thing. Usually somewhere really hard to get to whenever you have to go and troubleshoot it. But yeah, you would actually bring line voltage in, and then this thing would step it down transformer wise, and it goes quite a bit lower where, yeah, it's like 16 volts, and it's a class 2 current limited, real low stuff. Generally, this is the smallest wiring that you would ever run through the house is this. It's they even have it set up like, doorbell wire, and it's stranded, double stranded twisted pair type of stuff, like number 18. So it's small. And this is a very typical, so on the back of the transformer here, like underneath right here, you would have, there's a series of screws they have. So on the one side is where you would bring your voltage in, right? And then on the other side is how you set it up to basically go for the low voltage for it. And then they have what they call the front and the rear. So you basically have two signals coming out of this thing. If you have like a front doorbell and a rear doorbell, sometimes you don't, you just have the front, or sometimes you just have the rear. It really depends on the setup. But very typical. You can buy some of these that actually even have more than that. Like if, I don't know, for some odd reason, they had like 2 front doors and 1 rear door or something weird like that. But yeah, you can get those, and they make special ones like that. But this is a very standard one, pretty well knockoff. Most places will carry it. You generally find them, like a whole bunch of them on the shelf. And but yeah, they're pretty cheap. But this is a typical wire setup for them. It's nothing really fancy or anything like that. And then the doorbell itself, oh my God, they come in so many varieties. It really depends on, what the homeowners picked out and stuff like that. There's, I don't want to say there's as many, but you'd probably find almost as many different types of doorbells as you do as lighting fixtures. Really, there's so many types they have out there. But this would be like a common schematic for it, okay, if you will. So you actually have the buzzer itself, the chimer or whatever it is, and the push button generally mounted by the entry door. So somebody presses the button and activates the circuit, right? Kicks in. You can see we have the 120 volts coming in, and this is the actual representation of the transformer, right? And so it steps it down. You can see quite a bit. It's down to 16 volts. And then it'll activate the doorbell, ding dong, me, whatever it is. And these work like this always. And cool thing is the same style setup. In some cases, even in like an industrial setting, sometimes you might have like an entryway that requires a buzzer or something like that, a security entrance or something, and they go do a push button. Same setup. It really is the same exact setup. So this is transferable, and there's, it's not just limited to residences. You may, traces here. You may, you may do this in a commercial residence, maybe, a commercial residence, in a commercial building. I don't know, maybe like the store at the back door, they want a doorbell buzzer type of thing. Even in industrial settings, sometimes, at the security entrance or something like that, they want a doorbell set in or a buzzer or some kind. And it's exactly the same setup. You basically bring a 120 in, hit it up on that little transformer, have it step down, install your buzzer, and install your push button. And usually, like I say, the transformer is usually tucked away. Like in a house, it really is. It's always in some crazy, remote, inaccessible area. Generally, sometimes up in like a closet up at the top, even in the crawl space or something like that. But it's a pretty simple little install. And I mean, that's really it for chapter 25. They go through and just talk about like low voltage systems, right? And then the other side of the coin, and this goes in pretty much all houses these days. Not always will you find, well, of course, the security system, right? But not always will you also find the carbon monoxide alarms, although that's becoming more and more of a thing as well. And these are a lot of times these are like duals. In this case, you can even buy like a smoke heat and carbon monoxide detector all in one type of thing. And then a security system, that all depends on, you know, the homeowner, if they like contract out and get ADT in or something like that. And maybe in the beginning they've gone in while with the building install. So ADT would, you know, like I say, you would stub out, you would maybe provide outlet boxes for them in various spots. And then if are doing a new install these days, see, before they had it where like a lot of these, like the smoke heat and carbon monoxide detectors, were just batteries only. So you could pretty much mount it in a few different spots, although there are some rules with this. But these days they actually require, so you will have to stub out 120 lines for these detectors because they require a 120 or activate, and then some kind of battery backup that's built into it as well in case power fails, right? You don't want these things to go down. A couple of little, you know, typical examples, right? So these are required in all homes these days. NFPA 72, which actually I'm going to show you guys in a little bit after this, how to go with the NFPA and what you're looking for. But anyway, so NFPA 72, which is different, NFPA 70 is the NEC, and that deals with residences and whatnot. But NFPA 72 is for international fire alarm codes. And this applies to anything like residential, commercial, or industrial settings, okay? Because all three are required to have fire protection and fire alarms. And of course, they vary, you know, depending on the setting. You're not going to have the same, probably the same type of smoke detectors like in a house that you would in a, like a storefront or in, especially like in an industrial setting, right? But they are all required. And NFPA 72 is where you would turn to find out what the rules and regulations would be for that. So, and then they go through some like important terms, like things that you should be familiar with. Okay, you know, the alarm itself, what a heat versus a smoke alarm is, and it's a different type of detector because the one will detect heat, and usually they're built in where they're both like a dual, where it will detect heat and it will detect smoke. So generally, I mean, you do want it where it detects the smoke, because usually you get the smoke far before you get the heat. But in some cases, I don't know, maybe the smoke is getting ventilated somehow and still a fire is occurring. So you would want a heat detector as well. So that way you got, you know, backup just in case. And so, and another important term is a detector, right? And what a heat versus smoke detector is, and they are different, and they're different in how they detect it. Like smoke looks for, it looks basically it's looking for density, and heat, of course, is looking for temperature rise. So they are two separate type of systems. And then a household fire alarm system, what that is, combination detectors. And like I say, even these days, you can get one where it's all three, where it's the heat, smoke, and carbon monoxide detector, or different combinations of those three as well. And then what a single versus multiple station alarm is, just like what I discussed, what they consider the dwelling unit, the living area, and a separate sleeping area, and how you treat that. Because of course, really, I mean, the primary thing that these smoke and heat detectors, even the carbon monoxide detectors, are doing is protecting usually while you're sleeping, because then that's when you're the most not aware. But of course, you also want that in case, I don't know, you're in the front room watching TV and for whatever reason your kitchen is going up in smoke. You want to be warned of that. But anyway, so yeah, smoke, heat, carbon monoxide alarms, they give early warning of fire or toxic fumes, right? Carbon monoxide is the silent deadly killer, because a lot of times, you know, you get this gas going on, gas leaks and stuff like that. You may not detect the smell, but it's still there. And of course, you're going to experience, like, you know, if it enters your body with carbon monoxide, your body thinks it's oxygen and it's not. So what ends up happening is you literally are starving your body, and what'll go have, you know, even if you survive through this, you may end up with like a degree of brain damage or something like that because of the oxygen deprivation that you've experienced. So yeah, that's a carbon monoxide is not good, but yeah, and a lot of times it is odorless. So having a detector is a very good thing. But like, yeah, the home type smoke, heat, and carbon monoxide usually contain both detectors and alarms in a single device. So it's all built in one, you know, and you could, you know, mount it, and you don't have to worry about wiring things up separately or anything like that. But yeah, any new constructions, NFPA 72 requires you to have the two power supplies where you actually have a 120 line going to it and a battery backup for it. And this is pretty standard. They do allow for the grandfather ones, like if the ones were built in before, that they just have the battery backup alone. Those are still allowed to exist. But of course, if you do change, right, you go, I'm going to upgrade. Well, now you're required to go ahead and install a 120 volt line into those. So yeah, and the interconnection requirements, should any alarm activate, you basically want all alarms to activate. So that way, you know, throughout the whole house, that kind of thing. So, and then they did have like these hybrid weird ones where they did have like a wall outlet, sort of like an extension cord kind of thing for it. But those are not allowed in new constructions. They are allowed in existing constructions. You have to check. They do have some, you know, weird restrictions and stuff. You basically have to look at your zoning for the area you're in. And they do have ones for the hearing impaired, have like really bright strobe lights that, oh my God, they'll blind you actually. But yeah, they flash on and off so as to alert people that are like deaf or hard of hearing that might not hear the smoke alarm going off, right? Then you get and these days this is becoming more and more popular, where you get wireless systems built into the house. It could be Wi-Fi, different other types of systems, even like intercom type things and stuff like that. It really depends on, again, the homeowner. Um, but yeah, you get these low-powered radio systems where you have the alarm also interconnected with it. And there's strange standards with this. Now we go, this one here is from Underwriters Laboratory, and they have a standard 217 where single and multiple station smoke alarms, like how to set them up and what the requirements are for them. But yeah, you do want 120 volt AC powered, so that way you have it always on, and then battery backup, and then, you know, the case that the power should be going out for whatever reason. Let's see here. And this is, I mean, this is how they have it set up. You want it all on the one line, right? So you're bringing in a 120 stub out, and the various smoke alarms throughout. And of course, they're going to be in a variety of locations through the house, right? You have one in the kitchen and bedrooms, that type of thing. And you would have to stub it out, but they all do share the same line. So you just have basically, it'd be another branch circuit that you would have on a single disconnect type of situation. But yeah, you have all these all attached, and then yeah, they should all have like a battery backup style to them, and they vary. Typical is like a 9 volt transistor battery, but there are other styles out there as well. And yeah, they got the types of smoke alarms, right? The photoelectric type, where it measures the amount of light in a particular chamber, and if something were to, like, you know, something of a higher density than air were to start blocking it, then it triggers it off. Then they get the type where it's ionization, where it's actually measuring like the density of particles in the air, if you will. So it's always measuring, and so when, like with smoke, is of course a lot denser than regular air. So what this does is it basically floods into this little sensor, and then when that happens, that sensor activates then, and then that causes the current to flow, which turns on the alarm and triggers the whole thing. Now, heat alarms are a different style of sensor, right? It's almost like it's basically, it's like a thermostat, if you will. So it looks for, you know, and it's a a quick one, because it's going to look for rapid changes in temperature for fire, right, or that type of thing. But yeah, generally what you do have is like the bottom type here where you get everything available all in one unit. And it saves on installation. It's for ease of use, and this way you have everything covered all in one unit. Very helpful, when you have it mounted, like especially in areas where you might have gas and stuff like that in the kitchen area, and in like your utility room where your furnace would be. I would, that's where, because you have the gas being fired off, and your hot water tank and stuff like that. So those would be like very typical areas. And the bedrooms are required to have smoke alarms as well. So yeah, see here how all sleeping areas, outside of all sleeping areas. So if you have all your sleeping areas and there's like a connecting hallway, so you would have one in each bedroom and then one out in the hallway, right? So you have to make sure that there is one on every level of a residence. So if you have a 1-story, then that's covered. But if you have like a 2 or 3-story type of situation, you'd have to have that. All guest bedrooms and suites. So anything where anybody may be like sleeping is pretty much a rule of thumb. And there's installation requirements as far as like height and how far they're up. You can have them on a wall, okay, but they do have to be uh, more towards the ceiling than anything, right? Because heat rises, smoke rises, that type of situation. Um, they cannot be, so if it's on the wall, and this is with respect to the ceiling, right? It can't be further than 12 inches away from the ceiling. So this is like how far down the wall, and no closer than 4 inches up. And the reason being for airflow is what the way it's looking at. And so then if you put it on the ceiling, okay, the rule of thumb is no closer than 4 inches. Some people like to tuck them away, get them in the corner. Well, yeah, you can get them sort of in the corner, but yeah, no closer than 4 inches is your rule of thumb all the way around. It has to have clearance. And then if you get the ones where it's like a pitch ceiling, the church peaks type of thing, a lot of them becoming more and more popular, the vaulted ceilings, that kind of thing. The rule of thumb is not close, within 36 inches where the steeple peaks up in the top there, right? So it has to be within 3 feet somewhere of that and no further away from that, because of course the peak is going to be where all the heat and the smoke, rise up and condense into. And then slope ceilings, same type of deal. So any kind of pitch to a ceiling that's, other than flat, this is your rule of thumb from that. And general layout, right, where you're going to have it required. So you want to make sure you're protected in the bedrooms and stuff. This way all your sleeping areas are firing off when if anything are to happen. And then side view cut, like a multi-level residence, what's required, where you would have to have it. All stairwells have to be covered, center of room, even in the attic, because of course, right, where's heat going? It's going up. Where's smoke going? It's going up. So it's I don't want to call it like a no-brainer or common sense kind of thing, because you do have to kind of think about it. But I mean, if you think about the way the heat rises and smoke rises, it kind of becomes like, oh yeah, okay, that makes sense. But these are the requirements they have for it. And then, and here's like the way to look at it, right? You don't want it in the corner. So if you're on the wall, yeah, keep it at least the 4-inch minimum, no more than 12, right? And then if you're on the ceiling, no closer than 4 inches away from that edge. And the same with and this is the steeple grade, okay? So if you're keeping it the 3 feet within, and you can't go in the actual pitch, because you really want the airflow. This thing relies on the airflow for both heat and carbon monoxide and smoke detection. And the same way with the angle pitch, like the vaulted ceiling, if you will. Same rule of thumb, and this is a nice guideline here for that as well. But and another thing, and this is something a lot of people don't do, just like the circuit breaker tests of your home and stuff like that. But you are supposed to go through and test these things on a monthly basis, make sure they work. Most of them have just like a little test button. You're supposed to go and push the button, make sure the alarm actually sounds and stuff like that. And if it doesn't, well, there's a problem. And the cool thing, when the battery starts to fail on these things, they begin to chirp, like on early warnings to the homeowner as well that the battery is going to need to be replaced. So, but yeah, if you have them, if they're on another rule, replace them when they fail to respond to tests, or if they're over 10 years old. So if they're over 10 years old, the reason being is a lot of these detectors, like the density detectors, right, like the smoke, they actually have like a filament inside. And so what happens is that not filament, a membrane, and when over time that membrane just starts to degrade. It's just how it is, right? Any kind of plastic like membrane type thing, it is going to start to degrade over time. But yeah, how they work, carbon monoxide, and like I say, that's the silent killer. Yep, odorless, colorless, tasteless, and extremely poisonous. And it's horrible because, I mean, you may not even know it. You could be sitting there watching TV and basically getting gassed, right, and not even realizing it. And eventually you start experiencing a severe headache. But usually by the time you're getting that severe headache, you're in danger zone. So basically, so yeah, if something were to happen and for whatever reason, I mean, machines fail. So if your furnace or your water heater were to start working improperly, maybe it's not fully igniting, who knows what, but now there's this carbon monoxide that's supposed to be getting exhausted outside of your house, because this is generally like a a residue of burning gas, right, from your car and from propane, natural gas, and whatnot. Carbon monoxide is the residue from that. So for whatever reason, if it's not getting exhausted out of your house, I don't know, maybe a bird decided that the exhaust pipe was a good place to build a nest and you didn't know it, right? But so this is protection for that. And it went one outside, basically kind of a little different, but outside of the bedrooms, protect you while you're sleeping, right? And you want to, yep, it's got to provide early warning. Same deal as the smoke alarms and the heat alarms. You got to test them. And it does have different installation recommendations than the smoke alarms do, because where you have to look at it like, where is the gas going to be coming from? Generally, it's like anywhere you're going to ignite. So if you have like a gas burning stove in the kitchen, you have a gas burning furnace in your utility room or crawl space or whatnot, and the same with the hot water tank. So you're going to follow that through. But they follow through, and NEC covers that. The NFPA 720, which is a different one, and it does cover basically all types of like smoke alarms, heat alarms, and carbon monoxide detectors, and proper installations with pretty good pictures and stuff too. So that's always nice. And then you come to something not typical, but in some cases they do it, where it's a smart alarm system, where you actually have like a central control unit. And a lot of times when these are put in, like when ADT comes in and puts in like a security system or something like that, sometimes they also will install like a a smart fire alarm system, where you do have like a central control type situation. And what it would do is actually sends off, just like it does with the police, it sends off a detection signal to the fire department. So if your fire alarm system starts going off and it's like a false alarm, now you got to go call the fire department, tell them it's false alarm. Otherwise, they're on their way. um, but yeah, it's a same type of deal. They have to be connected on a continuous circuit together. And they do have the rules for it. They do have like the central command system, and that has to be wired up, but it also has to have a battery backup to it as well. A lot of times you do have, just like with the security alarm systems, it has a code entry for passwords and things like that. But not very typical. And that's pretty much, what they cover with all of this as far as these guys go. So it's pretty straightforward. I mean, it is something you do run into in a residence. I mean, most, all residents are going to require that you do have the smoke alarm, heat alarm, and a carbon monoxide detector. So you will have to go through, and it'd be another, like I say, another branch circuit added into your whole configuration. You got to stub out to the different points in the bedrooms and whatnot, and provide like an outlet box now. The older versions, now they just basically drill them in place, and it just has a battery on it. But now, yeah, you actually have a stub out, have an outlet box just for the smoke alarms and whatnot. But with that being said, so what I have, if you look, let me look here, what I have, and if you look under, let me pull this up here, because if you look under, see, today's tab, you see this area here, it's the teach back and review materials. Now, and you click on that, and what you'll have is a whole bunch of documents in place here. And each one of these is kind of like little worksheets, if you will, to have you go through. And this is for the final test. So if you go through all of these worksheets and everything, and I also have another sheet too, by the way. But if you go through all of these worksheets and do all the puzzles and the questions and answers and whatnot, this will set you up very, very well for the final, where you wouldn't have any trouble. In addition to that, I have a website access point for you as well. Yeah, and we would have, in the lab, we would have gone through and installed a smoke detector today, but man, I don't know. But if you see this NFPA 720, okay, and what that brings you to, let me, now I got to share another screen. Pull this up here. Sorry, I'm going to be bouncing around a little bit, showing you guys some stuff here, just because these are like freebies and stuff, and they are good to have. Let's see if I could pull this up right. There we go. You guys see that okay? So if you look on this, see how it's nfpa.org, right? That'll take you in, and that's the NFPA site. It's just not the NEC. So this is the National Fire Protection Association's full website. And if we scroll down, and they do have, and it's free. You're allowed to make a profile. It's free. There's no charge for this. And the cool thing is, but yeah, here, look at this. We go NFPA 1, see, and this thing covers everything that the NFPA has their hands in. There's like how to deal with different systems and stuff like that. Like I say, this list goes on and on of all the different things. And look at this, forest products, right? Okay, we're not going to get into that, but our area, there we go. So in the 70s is everything electrical related that we would want to be involved in, okay? So NFPA 70 is our NEC, okay? So this subsection is where they crank out the National Electric Code. But then they got subsets here, like check this out. So NFPA 70A is an additional where it's just the NEC requirements for 1 and 2 family dwellings. So let's say you became an electrician and all you do is homes. Well, then this is the particular area where you would want to focus and concentrate instead of looking at all of the NEC, which you wouldn't have to, right? This would narrow it down for you. Then they got one NFPA 70B, and that's and remember, these are all guidelines. There's no like NEC police, NFPA police coming around and backing this stuff up, but they have a recommended practice for electrical equipment maintenance, drills and things like that. Then this one is one, if you work for an employer, you will probably run into this at some point, because this has become a standardized electrical safety in the workplace. And usually you're required to go through, do some kind of training, watch videos, go through a class maybe, and then at the end of it, you have to actually sign some kind of paper that you do understand the requirements for electrical safety and such. But that's NFPA 70E. See, a lot of people call it arc flash training and stuff like that, but it's not. It's supposed to be like all around electrical safety in your workplace. And that should be applicable to any kind of electrical work you may be doing in the future, whether it's resident, you work for a company that does residential, commercial, or you're in an industrial setting. This NFPA 70E is a requirement for all of those settings. So you'll probably run into that. And then like what they were saying in our little review there, see NFPA 72 deals with national fire alarm and signaling. And then if you look, NFPA 73, now that's for anyone, you know, the the AHJs, right? Authorities having jurisdiction. This is their guidelines. So standard for doing electrical inspections for existing dwellings. Now that would be something, unless you do go along those lines, you know, later on in your life. This is something we typically won't be dealing with. That's something that one, like the main contractor, you know, he should be familiar with that. Make sure the guys are following the proper things. So when an inspector does come, you know, that you're going to pass. But yeah, it's definitely for inspectors. It's like a guideline for them to follow what they're looking for. And then we get this one, and this is for, I believe, for IT equipment, like, you know, the internet guys, right? The computer geeks. So they have guidelines for them as well, how to install their equipment and what kind of requirements they may need, you know, for their stub out boxes and all that good stuff. They also have one for the telephony people, right? Telecommunications facilities. And unless you do get in, you know, involved in telephone installations and stuff like that, I mean, you go work for AT&T or Frontier or whoever, right? One of the telecommunications guys, this would be NFPA that you'd follow with them. And then this is a weird one that's become more and more popular in this day. And it's a weird thing. So let's say if you ever do get in an industrial setting and they run a lot of like conveyors, especially like vinyl conveyors, um, anything where you've got moving plastic, you're going to start generating out quite a bit of a static electricity. And in some cases, it can be, it can build up one hell of a charge. I mean, you know, typical static charge, believe it or not, it can be upwards of 500,000 volts. Now, the current involved is generally way, way down, like in a microamp, so it's not enough to like kill you, right? But in some of these cases, if it builds up enough charge, it can hurt like hell. So I don't know if you, like I said, if you do get involved in somewhere where they're moving, you know, I don't know, some distribution center or something like that, or even in a factory where they have you know, a lot of vinyl belts, and if you get cardboard moving on these vinyl belts or different product, it can build up a static charge where, let's say, the worker comes along, he goes to pull this box off of this vinyl belt, and he's going to get zapped. So they have those like guidelines on how to take precautions against the static electricity, like what kind of groundings are out there, the brushes, because what they'll do is a lot of times they'll have these weird static brushes that you kind of mount on the bottom for the vinyl belts, and they're grounded out. And what it'll do is like basically it'll absorb the charge as the belt's going around. Anyway, but and then another one on overall, another one that you probably won't get into too much unless you are, you know, going into that line of work where you become an electrical inspector or something like that. And here's a guide on electrical inspections. And then if you do get in industrial, where you have a lot of like you're dealing with industrial machinery and that type of thing, well, they got another separate guideline, NFPA 79, where it's a standard for industrial machinery, like how the machine's supposed to be set up electrically, like what kind of disconnects and that kind of thing will all be covered on this guideline. And then you see now it goes down and it jumps into completely other areas, right? NFPA 80, and it goes on and on. But basically, all of these are for us, and any of the 70s are for electrical. So if we were to, and the cool thing is you can click on these, right? Let's say I want to find out about NFPA 70E, and then see how it has free access. Well, they record, it's a free, oh, good Lord. It's a, you guys can see all this, right? It's, I hope this is keeping up with me. But if you click free access, it'll bring up, see how it brings up this edition, and I can click view, and it's PDF style. So let's say I want to find out about, you know, NFPA 70E, right? Standard, da 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 da. I click next, and it's actually the publication. And granted, I can't download it or anything like that. They don't let you do that. They do let you view it. So you could pull up these articles and stuff like that on this site, and it's actually, and it's the full book. I mean, you know, you get all the guidelines, what's going to be required, you know, depending on how the NFPA 70 is set up, and maybe you want to review for it or something like that for the workplace. Make sure your workplace is doing the proper thing, that kind of crap. You can come right on here, and all you have to do, because I'm actually signed in wherever the hell it is, but yeah, you just have to go through and make a general profile. It's free. They don't charge you for it, but you're allowed to basically look at their different publications. You can find out about becoming trained or certified in different areas of this type of thing, any other classes that they might cover here. You know, I don't know. It really depends on what you end up doing and your work and whatnot. And another one I want to show you guys, and this is just it's just a handy ass website. Pull this up real quick here. Bear with me. But this website has proved invaluable because, you know, throughout your time, you never know what you're gonna run into out there and stuff like that. What may happen, what you get involved with. This website's called EC&M, okay, Electrical Construction and Maintenance. So kind of roundabout, you know. So if you're involved, you know, the general trade where you're doing construction work and that kind of thing electrically, well, but these guys have a lot of stuff for you. Or if you're, you know, an industrial style setting where you're part of the maintenance team and stuff, and you do it that way. But these guys, they do monthly articles, okay, but they also have a lot of installation things, okay. They even like real good pictorials, go through guidelines for you. They always have monthly, they even have little contests if you see code quiz of the week, and they actually give out prizes and stuff, you know, who recognize the code violation and state it and stuff like that, and then you can win and a thing. But you can do general searches on this website. I don't know. Let's see. What would we want to search for? Let's say we want to. Let's see what they have to say about that. And you gotta be careful when you look at these. Make sure it is. And they got different, you know, see code calculations, Q&A on the neutral, stuff like that. Anything that has to deal with three ways, you kind of have to go through, and just like everything on a web search, right? But they have different things on this, different articles. They're usually really well done, and a lot of times, yeah, like this. So you know, you're not doing a lot of reading. You're just watching the slideshow and seeing what they have set up for you, and going through all this information. But especially for beginners and stuff like that, this has got a lot of really cool information for you. You know, do's and don'ts, what's to look for, right? Even like stuff like this, you know, top 14 reasons electrical service installations get red tag. Like, what did the electrician screw up? But yeah, you can go through a lot of slideshows. They even do like this where, and this is really nice too. See, real nice pictorials and showing you just, oh, get out of here, on standard installations, how to set it up, where you're routing the wiring to, you know. And again, this one you can log in and register. I didn't log in yet, but yeah, it's a freebie. But yeah, EC&M, it's got a ton of information. They do a lot of NEC things for you and stuff like that. And then, like I say, it's both electrical construction and maintenance. You can even get subscribe to their monthly articles and stuff like that. You know, set right to your email box, if you will. And one other thing, and this is now this one. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry, guys. I got a ton of stuff here, but this one I have set up on the next day's tab. I think for Wednesdays, you have to double check me, but this is a cheat sheet for all the stuff that's going to be on the final. In addition to those worksheets that are on there, these are like what you might need to be able to answer, if you will. So like, you know, or some of the questions you go through and you would answer. It's like, okay, what's an AHJ, right? Authority having jurisdiction. You know, what is the NEC, right? It's a minimum safety standard. And then the meaning of approved. is acceptable to the AHJ. It's like, just like I say, the lawyers speak, right? The legal speak, how to interpret it and all that good stuff. But and then the no-brainer ones like the requirements as far as installs and stuff like that, the do's and don'ts, right? A lamp's not a device; it's a lumen, or depending on the type of lamp it is. And then if but these are all things just to take out the mystery in case some of the stuff isn't making any sense and stuff like that. But if you go through those worksheets, okay, and there's not a lot. There's about 5 or so questions on each worksheet. There's 10 of them all together, so it's not a lot. It's like a review type thing. And then this one's only 2 pages here. But if you go through all those and you go through all this sheet right here, get real familiar, right? What's on there, what they mean by it, kind of takes out the mystery of like the legal speak. Because sometimes, even for me, sometimes I got to pause and think. It's like, all right, what the hell do they mean by that? It's like, oh my God. And I hate it, but it's, it's the way the world is. It's like, it's what's it called? The CYA policy, right? Cover your ass. So you always got to talk in the legal speak. So that way there's no misinterpretation ever. It's everybody's so lawsuit crazy in these days. So everybody's, like I say, the CYA, right? but that's really everything I have for you guys today. I mean, and we can, and I went through, pull up my thing here again. I went through and I posted, the final exam is open. You take it. It's not due till next Sunday at midnight. So take your time. You only get one shot, okay? So do the review, go through it, and we'll meet on Wednesday. And Wednesday's kind of a wide open deal, really. So if you go through the sheets and you have questions and stuff, save them up, and then on Wednesday we can go over them all together, kind of thing. And then, if anything's got a mystery to it or something like that, let me know, and then we can do it then and get everything covered. But yeah, you have up until Sunday at midnight. So, next Sunday. So that gives you not quite a week, but almost a week to study for it and stuff. So it doesn't kill you. It's 20% of your grade. So, it's a grade point hitter if you fail. So you don't want to do that. You want to get some decent points. So and then everybody's grades actually look pretty good to me. So, but yeah, don't let this thing drop you from like an A to a B, if you will, right? But it covers everything that we've gone through so far, and what I think are like the really, really like key points and stuff. So, like if I said to you, okay, so what the heck is an RTL? And then you go, what? And it's, and it's, so you would have to be, understand that it's the testing laboratory, a nationally recognized testing laboratory. Yeah, it's a lot of abbreviations out there, right? And just like saying, okay, what the hell is an AHJ? So 8 weeks ago, you wouldn't have no idea what an AHJ is. But now, and I go, what's the AHJ? And it's not always the same thing. Remember, like authority having jurisdiction, depending on the area you're in, county to county, town to town, city to city. Always different. I mean, usually when you're in a big city, it's a no-brainer. Generally, they have an electrical inspector involved and whatnot, but not always. And sometimes, like you've seen, it's fire marshal and this and that, and different counties, different things. So basically, we go, it's the AHJ. So that way, you don't always say, oh, it's the electrical inspector. Not all the time do you have an electrical. Smaller the county, basically, they don't have the budget for an electrical inspector, so there is no electrical inspector. So you might end up getting the fire chief coming out and looking it over and giving you the sign off or whatnot. So in some cases, you don't have anybody, right? It just happens, and it's kind of crazy. You get these real low populated areas, like a lot of times with like where I'm at in Marshall County, it's a real small county as far as population goes. So their deals are kind of funny. You're still required to pull permits and stuff like that, but if anybody's actually coming out to follow up and inspect and make sure you're doing proper installs, is kind of a but if you're doing it in the city of Peoria, yeah, you can be promised that somebody's going to be popping by and taking a peek at stuff. And if you're the guy in charge, well, you better be ready and have answers if he needs answers. But that's really everything I have. But yeah, those two websites, like I say, they're free. The NFPA one, it's gold. It's, you know, gold if you ever need to look stuff up. If you're really bored and want to read some really horribly dry stuff, go for it. But that ECNM site, I really like it a lot. And like I said, what's that?
Can you put a link of those, like link those websites on Blackboard, like on like announcement or something of that nature, so I can bookmark them later?
For the ECNM, I got the, yeah. If you look, hold on here. All right, hold on. Let's see if I can do this. I can do this. I know I can. Let me post them. Yeah, here we go. If this works. Oh, you know, look at that. So hold on here. Let me pull this back up here so you can see it. So this is all under, you see here, day 13. And there you go. So there's the NFPA's general. I labeled it NFPA 720, but as you've seen, it's everything for the whole organization, right? And you can, and the cool thing is too, if you want to go on there, you know, for whatever reason, maybe you want to order the NEC book, you can buy it directly from them, you know, cut out the middleman, and you can get it in a hard copy or the digital version, right? And then here's the ECNM site as well. And I like ECNM. Just, I mean, it's just some handy stuff, and you can pretty much type in anything from basics to something you're having trouble with. You can even do like a Q&A. I don't know, say you ran into something crazy and you don't have an answer, like on an install, right? You can actually post a question to their experts, and then they'll actually, you know, get back to you. They might say, hey, take me a picture and, you know, a snapshot of that or something like that. But a lot of times they'll get back to you, and these guys, you know, and they pull from people all over, you know, guys have been in the trades for years and years and years. So it's kind of cool. It's real, you know, like I say, it's free. So to go on there, you know, do a profile for a login and stuff like that. And then they do even I think it's a monthly NEC code challenge, and they get it's actually some decent ass prizes. I think a couple times they've, what was it? They were giving out a DeWalt Sawzalls and stuff like that. So, you know, it's not like cheap ass shit. It's there's some there's some good tools and stuff that they're actually handing out. But yeah, those two are freebies, and it's really good information. In addition, you know, your textbook and the Uglies book, you might as well, you know, in this day and age, that way, even if you have it on your phone, it's something to have, right? Because especially like the NFPA site. Because if you're getting into this line of work, I can promise you're going to become familiar with NFPA in one way, shape, or form. Arc flash, you know, electrical installs and everything. They got their hands in that. And at the very least, and I would always, you know, and if I got into a place that wasn't doing they're doing the NFPA 70E, you know, the safety deal. Like if I started a job and whatnot, and I don't care what the hell it is, if you're in an electrical job, construction, you know, industrial, whatever, and you've gone in there and you've gone through your orientation and crap, and you are like being hired as an electrician, and they have not gone through and done an NFPA 70E with you, I would kind of like look at them a little funny, and maybe even like say something to their HR or your supervisor or something, and say, hey, why aren't we doing an NFPA 70E? Because a lot of times you go through and there's OSHA requirements as well, right? So they'll have you, oh God, it's so horrible. Get used to doing your monthly horrible videos. I always had to, you know, ladder safety and depending, you know, and they change from place to place. But after a while, once you've seen a ladder safety video at one place, I can promise you, no matter which way they change it around at another place, they're about the same. But you usually go through, and any good place, you should be going through and having like monthly safety reviews, where it's boring as hell, but your ass has got to sit down there for like an hour or two once a month and watch, or go through classes. Some places actually have their own like seminar deals where once a month, they have like a safe, because Caterpillar does that. When, bigger organizations, well, once a month they have like a safety guy coming into your building, and then everybody, has scheduled meeting things with them. And by the time you get to you go through the end of the seminar, your name's signed on a list, so you're certified again for another year. And then, but usually they should have it set up, any good place, and I swear, I don't care what the hell it is, you know contractors, construction, industrial settings, where you're in a warehouse or a distribution center or factory or whatever. If they're not doing where your butt sitting down and doing safety reviews periodically, I would kind of question your your safety overall in that place, because then they're obviously not taking safety as a real deal, and you might run into some tricky situations. But like I always say, take take your time. Don't rush. I don't care if it's the big boss breathing down your neck. We gotta get this done right now. And it's like, yeah, bullshit. I want to keep all my fingers. I want to keep all my toes. I like to stay alive another day, if that's all right with you. Because it doesn't matter where you go. You are not getting paid enough to die, right? Yeah. I don't know how much money they'd have to pay me for that. Because once you're dead, of course, you're not going to spend it, right? But yeah, always. I mean, really, and it's a measure of how seriously a company is taking safety, on how well they do their safety. And I know it's after you've done it, after you've done it as many times as I have through my life, let me tell you what, they get boring as hell. But it is a requirement. You should be able to go through it. I used to, the last one I was with, they basically had it set up where it was all online videos, and through the video it had like different little quizzes and tests. Some of them I got down to the point where it's like, yeah, I've seen these so many times, I just kind of fast forwarded through the video, just got to the quizzes, and pop, 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 pop. And as long as you pass, right? So you realize what all the steps are, but in the beginning you don't. So it's always, sit through it. And yeah, trust me, they're all boring. They're all pretty awful. but yeah, those are those websites. And then, like I say, go through that the Teach Back stuff here, right? And there's all the reviews. There's what do we got? 11 different documents and all, right? We look. So see, just I don't know if you guys can see. Hold on here. Do. Got too many things up now. I think that's one. Oh no, wrong. Damn it. See, I got too many documents now. There we go. Oh Christ. Hold on, let me there. That's the one I want. So there's one of them, right? And see, it's like 2, 4, 6 different fill in the blank things, right? So just what you can expect to have on the final. So Arc Flash can create temperatures as high as, and if you said 35,000 degrees, you would be right. Yay! Ding, 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 ding. But stuff like that. So you know what I mean? Yeah, Arc Flash. I don't know. You get into anywhere where you get a potential for arc flash, really take some caution, guys, because that 35,000 degrees, and you'll see videos of this later on, I promise. If you survive it, for one, it's enough. I mean, think about 35,000 degrees is enough to instantly vaporize your skin. All right. It can, you'll see some pictures. I've seen pictures where a guy had like a hole, a good diameter size hole, burned right through his arm, all the way through. The flesh completely gone. It never grow back. You know why? Because it's burnt it through, and then what it does is it does something they call cauterize, so it heat seals. So yeah, you've got this, and you're not bleeding. No, you just got this nice fucking hole punched right through your right through there. It'll burn through bone, it'll burn through skin, it'll burn through muscle, it'll burn through your organs, you know, your eyes. Your eyes could literally be gone out of your head. I mean, they're just gone. You know, all your soft tissue and shit. You could be like, literally be like, you know, Skeletor looking kind of thing. So never, ever, ever, ever take this stuff as a, you know, it's dangerous work. But if you follow, you know, follow the safety thing and don't rush into stuff, you'll be all right. But oh yeah, you only get you don't even get that one chance sometimes. Okay, you know, you fail that one time and boom, you're dead. Well, you don't get to fail anymore. But yeah, these are the kind of questions on there. And then, like I say, that final sheet. Let me stop sharing here. We'll go back to the website real quick. Pull that up. What are we on today? 5/12. Yeah, so let me pull this back up. So if you go, I think that's the one. Hope it is. Yeah. So if you go and look for this Thursday's day coming up, right? The day 14. It's under Teach Back. I think it is, right? Oh, maybe not. Oh no. That's something we would have done in class. Damn it. Hold on. No. It must be. Hold on. I gotta find that sheet and make sure you guys get it. Huh. All right, hold on a minute. I gotta find this. What are we on here now? Day 13. I had Teach Back Review, which is all the sheets. All right, hold on. Oh, what the hell? I just had that sheet up. I'm gonna make sure I have it posted where you guys can see it okay. Day 14. Not on day 15, because all that rest of this would have been all lab cleanup kind of thing. No, don't want that. Oh, All right, I'm gonna have to go through and find this and make sure, but I'll have it posted on the same one as the Teach Back review stuff for you guys. I gotta figure out what the hell I did with it. I know I just had it. It's so weird. Fact. Let me see here. This is crazy, man. Anyway, but yeah, I'll find that, and then so that way, you know, your stuff for review will be under today's tab. And go through all that with the worksheets and whatnot, and you should be pretty good to go. Nope. Oh wait. That's that. I'll go through and do that right now. So yeah, ElecTech 111 review. Look at that. And then, like I said, we'll put it all under today's tab. So you'll have, what do we have here? Oh no, wait. Yeah. Put it under today's tab. So Teach Back review material, and I'll do call final review as a folder type, if you will. Just want to make sure you guys know where it's all at. We'll do final. Get that on there. So you guys have any questions, or we're doing all good with everything? And like I say, you know, Thursday I'll have it, we can spend the time and go over everything. If, you know, we just go through these worksheets if something's not making sense. In fact, there we go. All right, let me pull this up. Sure, there we go. Yeah, so if you go into today's tab, so I got two of them, right? So you got this one down here called Final Review, and that'll be that cheat sheet that I showed you, and then this Teach Back Review materials, and those are the 11 worksheets that you can go through, and just a bunch of stuff, just so that way, you know, you're all ready. If you go, like I said, if you go through those worksheets and you go through this final review sheet, you should be really good to go for the final exam. And it is posted now. So anytime you want to take it, I have it set, you know, due date of, like I say, Sunday by midnight. And so if there's any questions at all, you know, even after, don't wait just to class time. You know how to get a hold of me. You know, if you need to text me or something like that, and we can even come on here on Zoom if we need to do, you know, an actual eye-to-eye go over stuff kind of thing. If you want, I'm pretty good to go. I don't really have anything major planned for the week, so I should be able to set a time at least, you know, an hour or two for each and every day of the whole week up to Sunday. So if, you know, anything's not making sense or something like that, just get a hold of me. Well, you know what I mean? I want this to be learning, not beating you over the head kind of thing. Does that sound good to you guys?
Yeah, sounds good.
All right. Yeah, because y'all have been doing pretty good. I like going through the grades. Everybody looks like they're, you know, pretty on track, and that's a good thing. And hopefully this all helps you, you know, when you start actually getting out. And this, even if you're, you know, standalone class, it's really meant to be a standalone class. If you're not going for the associates or certification with ICC, this still will help you, you know, get your ball rolling, get you ready to be an apprentice, what you're going to be in store for. Because, you know, going through the whole apprentice thing, it's a nonstop, right? You're always going to be learning stuff on the job. So this kind of sets the groundwork. So at least you know where to look the stuff up, what you need and stuff like that. Get you used to looking, you know, hey, the Uglies book's got this crap. I can look that up real quick, right? That kind of thing. And I always remember those couple of formulas, you know, voltage drops, how much you lose, right? How much you're allowed to lose. So you got to think of that. And it's not like how much volt. A way to look at it is, if I go and measure a line at the panel, okay, I'm going to give like 120 if everything's done right. So I measure that out, I go 120. Now let's say I'm allowed the maximum run. I go, I don't know, it's a ranch house, so it's a rectangle. And I got the box mounted on the outside of the garage, and I'm going all the way in. Let's say the family room's on the clear other end of the house. And I go and pop my meter, you know, 2 test leads into a receptacle spade terminals, right? And I go, okay. And I look and I'm getting 115, and it's like, yeah, where did the voltage go? And it's lost, right? That's what we mean, voltage drop. You lose, it's going to drop because it's nothing is a constant. It would be beautiful if it was, right? Get that superconductor out there that doesn't lose any voltage, but they haven't found that yet. So we're dealing with copper or aluminum. Aluminum. But you know, just basically based on, you know, energy loss, because you transmit anything over a given distance and you're gonna lose power. It's just a given. That's why in the beginning you get your boost, and that works, you know, that works for everything like that. Radio, TV transmission, I don't, you know, line voltages. It doesn't matter if you're transmitting in the air or transmitting over copper. You know, telephone signals deal with the same thing. Your cable line, the same thing. I mean, you get lost, and there's different ways to correct for that. But voltage loss, and again, you know, if your voltage loss is too much, next wire size up. but yeah, go through those worksheets, guys, and you know, and look at that that overall cheat sheet, and keep those websites in mind, because those are handy to have. I would bookmark them and keep them, because that's information you're going to be able to use, I mean, through your whole career. Okay. And you'll find there's other websites out there. It depends on what you get into, but they're more, you know, some of them will be more specialized to your particular line of work. But the ECNM and the NFPA, they kind of are like an overall apply to everybody kind of situation. So you look on ECNM, and you're in construction, of course, you don't give a crap about the maintenance end thing, right? You're not working on conveyors or none of that crap. So, you know, but they have a lot of good construction articles, like big building constructions and things like that. So it just helps to, you know, get that knowledge going. And like I say, they have, like, you look the stuff up, they've got really good pictorials on doing installs and stuff like that. So it's really handy. But yeah, that's what I pretty much got for you today. You know, alarms and doorbells, and that really does give you a good end to end on what the heck is going. You know, I don't know, you even go in and maybe one day you just you build your own house and decide, hey, I'm gonna wire this baby up all by myself, and I would. But you know, and what's going to go into it, and this will give you a good way about all the information you need to do a proper install for your place, especially in a place where they don't have good electrical inspections. You know, you hire some bozo, and it's like, you go through there and you don't want to be going and shaking your head when you get your new house and just going, oh my God, this is awful, just because, you know, that's our line of work. I do it all the time. I look at crap and go, oh my God. When I first bought this place, I had a three-way set up in the hallway, right? And you know, you turn on the switch on the beginning of the hallway, and it turns the light on. But then you go to the end of the hallway and try to turn the light off, it didn't. But if you go back and turn off the switch in the beginning and go down to the end of the hallway and turn the switch on, it would turn the light on too. So they had their travelers crossed, right? So you weren't getting the proper, and it's it's one of the most common misinstalls that homeowners do with three-ways is get their travelers crossed, and the damn switch doesn't work the way, you know, on a three-way. Be able to turn it on here and turn it off over there, and the other way around. Same with like stairway lights, right? You know, turn it on upstairs, turn it off downstairs. But yeah, it's hurts my head. But yeah, so that's really what I have. And then yeah, we can meet on Thursday, and then I can go over stuff with you, you know, with those worksheets, and go over the final sheet and everything. And because that's, as far as my lectures go, that's everything I got. This last week would basically be all about winding up your labs. And then when we had the final, what you do is you take the final, you have an hour for that, and then you'd spend your 2 hours of lab doing a tear down basically of your trainer, and then, you know, disconnecting everything, pulling off all your jumper wires and crap like that. But yeah, we didn't get that, and I apologize, but we did get all the information through. I didn't skimp on anything, so you did get the full class rollout, and you guys did really well. You should be proud of yourselves. I like your grades, so, you know, give yourselves a pat on the back. As long as you get the final in good, and you should all come out with a good grade, and everybody should be happy. All right. But yeah, that's what I got for you for today, boys. And otherwise, I will see you guys on pretty much our last day, and that'll be on Thursday. So yeah, if you have, and like I say, you know, all through the whole week, you need me to, you know, don't be shy. I'll bend over backwards to help you. I swear to God. So, you know, I don't want to make this like where you're getting headaches and crap like that. Something's not making sense. Well, let's do her. All right.
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen. Well, you have a good and chilly day here in May, right? And then I will see you guys on Thursday.
See ya.
All right.